I'm gonna go now because of podcast.
Okay. Love you.
Love you infinitely. The size of my love for you is super chunky.
I didn't even tell him to say that. Hey everyone, my name is Leah. Welcome to the Eventual Knits podcast. I am known as Miss_LJV on Instagram and Eventual on Ravelry. Today is Saturday, March 14th, 2020. I don't remember when the last time I podcasted was. I think it was, it was February for sure. I feel like the last time we talked, I had a little bit of a breather between some big work projects and to like solidify my project. And since then, so much stuff has happened. I'm sure you guys all know, and by I'm sure, I mean, I know, because you are also a part of this world, but also additional things or things as a result of everything going on. And so a lot of yarn has built up, a lot of things have happened in my yarn life and in my regular life. And already I was taking pictures before I started filming this because even though it's like 11, Steve was just waking up, or actually I woke him up, and I wanted to like mitigate like him clomping around before he went downstairs to go shower. And so I was taking pictures, but now I have yarn fibers all in my nose, so I am sorry. I'm just drinking a lovely cup of coffee in my like favorite mug. I'm sure you see this like every time, and it's not fair because I have like 50 favorite mugs, but I find myself picking this one a lot amongst, I have like 5 mugs that I pick quite often, but I think we're actually pretty good about using all of our mugs before reusing the same mugs. Like we try to give each mug a little bit of love. So happy Saturday. If you are a new viewer, welcome. Thank you for coming and watching. If you are a returning viewer, as always, I really appreciate you watching. I do have a Ravelry group that I have sorely not paid any attention to. I don't even know if you can, like, do you get notifications on groups when people post? Because I feel like I haven't. Because otherwise, like, if people, I haven't checked. Like, if people are introducing themselves, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I don't really use Ravelry groups. And so, like, I forget about them. Like, I forget to go check. Like, I am on Ravelry probably every day, but I'm only looking at, like, my patterns and other people's patterns and finished projects and stuff, and I never think about the groups or the forums. And so like I'm definitely not trying to ignore you, and I really need to get better about that. If you are active in Ravelry groups, please try to keep me honest. I don't like, if you can't get notifications, I just don't know how to remember to check. And like same thing with Instagram. I really have not been posting much lately. I did post recently when I fixed one of my projects, and I was like, hey, you know, that might be interesting for people to see just like how I do it, because I will do it basically the same way every time. And it's like something that I don't really think about. And so I was like, but I appreciate when other people post, like when they've mended something, or when something went wrong with sizing, or I don't know, like I just really like seeing people's processes. And I'm, again, on Instagram every single day, but I haven't been posting. I mostly just look at people's posts and like them. I try to go through my who I'm following like once, like a month or once every couple weeks, and remove people that I don't really look at their stuff or I don't see them post often. Not not to keep my numbers down, like I don't really care about that because I don't have that many followers, but yeah, like I think like I just broke 400 like a week or something ago. That reminds me, okay, I'm gonna come back in a second. But I want to keep who I'm following as small as I can so that I can see everybody's posts, because I'd like to see everybody's posts, if that makes sense. And so, like, if I don't care about someone's post, or like if it's just like not my cup of tea, like one person I unfollowed, I had been like neglecting to unfollow for a really long time because like their yarn is really gorgeous, but their posts just really aren't my aesthetic, and I have never bought from them, and I think I followed them for like 2 years. And so if I've never bought from them and their yarn isn't my aesthetic, I really shouldn't follow them. Like that's what I mean. Especially because there are some yarn dyers and designers that I really, really care about, and I don't want their posts getting crowded out by extraneous posts, I guess. So it's never anything personal. It's always just trying to make sure that I can see as much as I am able to when I'm using Instagram. I wonder if people think I'm a lurker. Like, I don't mean to be at all. I just like have more time to scroll and heart things than I do to think of my own posts and post. And also, like, lighting is so bad here. Like, I have little lights, but they end up downstairs in the game room when Steve takes pictures for games that he's selling, or his own Instagram or Twitter or wherever he posts stuff. And so sometimes I just fall out of the loop on posting on Instagram, but I'm seriously on there every day. So like, if you ever wanted to contact me on Instagram, I will see it immediately. Even if I don't have time to check it immediately, I will see it. And I don't get messages really, so it's not like I am flooded with messages. But the other thing, you guys, is I got 100 followers. Yay! Subscribers on YouTube. The last account to subscribe to me is a little iffy. I'm not really sure if it's real. You know how we all kind of get those followers that maybe are subscribers who maybe aren't real, but it's stuck for several days, so maybe they are. And if you are real, welcome. I do really appreciate subscribing. Like, you're welcome to like my videos. Obviously that helps like my metrics or whatever, but it's whatever. Like, if you don't want to crowd up your liked videos, that's not a big deal to me. But I really appreciate the subscribe, and I really appreciate if you tell people about my YouTube channel. If you would like to share my YouTube channel, I will put the link for it down below. I did create like a bit.ly link for easy sharing, just because I don't think I have enough followers. I can't remember when you're able to change your link. I can't remember if it's like, if it is 100 or if it's 500. So anyway, enough about that. It's just, I appreciate you guys, and I really like doing the podcast. And so, I mean, I really like that people are watching it and enjoying it. Like, that makes me feel good that I'm putting out content that people enjoy. So maybe we should actually get to that content. All right, the first thing we're going to start with is finished objects. It's so funny because I was writing things down on a notebook because I like to refer to my notebook, you know, when, for reminders, because I will forget, even though I have a million things, or because I have a million things. So the first thing I want to show you, I think I did show this before. That's the thing about finished objects, was like, did I show my finished objects before? So this first one I'm going to show you is the Hampton Cowl by Claudia Miller, I believe. I have it on the reverse side, but so it's just a big silk cowl. It's super pretty. It's very soft. I mean, it's 100% silk. The yarn is Claudia hand paints, Serenity, and it is 2 yarns held together. One was Jungle and one was Bayou. And the Jungle, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm gonna take it off. I just really like the way it looks right now, so I don't want to take it off. So it's held together, 2 different colors. One was Jungle, and it was more like I feel like you'd picture like marshy greens. I'll put pictures of what the actual yarn balls look like, but the pattern came with it. It wasn't really a pattern, I guess. I mean, it is a pattern by Claudia. I assume it's the same person who does the yarns, but yeah, I made this huge cowl, and so blocking it made it so much bigger and sturdier, I guess, because you know, silk is so drapey that when I finished it, I just gave it to Steve to wear because he likes to wear my bigger cowls, and he really likes soft stuff around his neck, and it kind of rolled up, and I mean that's fine because you know it sits on your neck, but I still like we were doing some cleaning last weekend, some spring cleaning, and I got really into blocking things that needed to be blocked, like had never been blocked before, or just were really in need of blocking, or just general washing. So like I washed a lot of my wool socks. I'm actually pretty good about washing my socks, but some fingerless gloves, some hats, and one of the other things was this cowl. And so the cowl is basically just stockinette and in the round, and I forgot when I was binding off to actually give a couple rows so it didn't roll at the bottom, but it's not a huge deal because it's just a cowl and you can wear it however, and I like it rolling on the reverse side. I don't know, I like the texture, the look of that. The pattern you can actually buy for $6, and I would advise you not, because it's just basically stockinette. I mean, it is just stockinette in the round with a couple rows of garter. Like if you knit, you probably already know how to do that, so don't pay $6. But for me, the pattern came with the yarn. It came in like a set of two. The two colors were already picked out at Steve & B, and I finally finished it. I like stopped knitting it for a while because the silk yarn got all tangled, and so I just had to like take the time to go through and rewind it so it stopped being tangly. And lace yarn is some of the worst yarn to deal with when it's tangly, and so it just took a lot of time and effort, but I have it and I love it, and it's soft and it's drapey. It's exactly what I want. I actually have another set of yarn in here somewhere. I'm trying to imagine where. Oh, I know. Sorry about the crinkling. So this is how the sets come. I bought this for myself back when they had a sample at Steve & B, and I was like, oh my god, I want something this soft and this drapey right now. And the colors that the sample was in weren't available as a kit at all, and so I was a little disappointed, but I thought, you know, let's just try these. And this was a couple years ago. And so yeah, the kit, or the pattern, I don't know how I got the pattern. Anyway, it's 100% silk, so this is pretty, I mean, this is expensive right here. But yeah, I might knit it. I mean, I do like it, and it's really easy. Like, it's a good on-the-go project because it's just stockinette in the round. Maybe I will start another one of these with this yarn to just like take on the go. Yeah, it's nice. It's cool. I love holding yarns together. I don't usually though, but I do like to. So as I said, we started doing some spring cleaning last weekend. For us, that really just kind of looked like, I mean, I think that compared to the average person or maybe family, we're actually pretty good on like stuff. Like, we do have some extraneous stuff here and there, but we are trying to go through it and reduce it. And I mean, the very least, we want to do it so that when we move, we don't have to deal with a bunch of like extra crap that we need to throw out, or like, why are we taking this with us, that kind of thing. And so part of that cleaning was me going through, there's like a corner that had like a bunch of my old teaching stuff and old projects that like I don't want to get rid of, but I'm never gonna wear. And in this pile of stuff was it's called a cowl, but I knit it for the knitting Olympics at my local yarn store, one of my local yarn stores, Knitting from the Heart in Woodbury, Minnesota. And so you had to knit something with at least 400 yards, and you just got to submit it, and they put it up and gave it a little tag, and I mean, that's all it was. It was just like displaying, like, you know, stuff that you made, and it was completed, or this happened in 2014. So in 2014, I was just starting to branch out. Like, it's funny to me that people, and I know I've mentioned this recently, but it's funny to me that people are afraid of duplicate stitch, because that's like all I did up until 2014. Because I wanted to get little designs on patterns, or on like scarves and gloves and whatever, and I couldn't really figure out color work so well, so I just like taught myself how to duplicate stitch, and I sold scarves for a long time with duplicate stitch. And then finally in 2014, I was like, you know, maybe I want to try other things. I was at Knitting from the Heart, and I saw this magazine, and I saw this cowl, and I wanted to knit it so badly. I thought it was so nice. And what's really funny is that I still have this. I actually was like, I wonder when I made it, and I should go look at it. I should go see if I knew I had like a physical copy of the pattern, and so I was like, let me see if I could find the pattern. Well, I found the magazine, and it said sell and display until April 7th, 2014. So yep, it was 2014. Anyway, back to my story. So I remember when I was knitting it that I felt like I didn't have enough time to make it as long as I wanted, and so in my head, I bound it off early, and like it was this weird, like it wasn't short enough to be like a really short cowl like this, and it was too wide anyway, and it wasn't long enough to wrap twice, and so I was kind of disappointed, and I was like, you know what, after knitting Olympics, I'll undo the bind off, or like, well, you knit it flat and then you seam it together, and so I guess I'll undo the seam and then make it longer. But then after knitting Olympics, I was like, it's kind of itchy, and I'm not interested in it anymore. Something else probably distracted me, and so I just must have stuck it with all of my old knits. Fast forward 6 years to 2020, and I had it in my knits that I don't want to get rid of, but I don't do anything with. And I was like, this has definitely never been blocked. And that immediately made me think, like, oh my god, the staff at Knitting from the Heart must have been like, aw, sweetie, you know, like, I mean, if it were me, I understand that I probably turned it in on the last day that you could turn things in. I do lots of things last minute, so, but I would have been like, oh, you should really block this, you know, or something, I don't know. And I remember people having conversations with me about blocking, like, way in the past, and just like every person who hasn't blocked things before ever said, you know, like, oh, I don't know, I don't need to do that, or I don't know how to do that, or that seems hard, or whatever. But so they just hung my like mushy, wrinkly, fluffy, like I can vividly remember what it looked like. Like, they did the best job to arrange it on like the hanger or whatever that they could, but it still was like, I just remember it being like bunchy. And anyway, so I block it. And narrow. This is the outcome. Remember when I said it wasn't long enough to wrap around twice? I love this. I love this. I mean, it was knit in 2014. It's not perfect. There's definitely like funny stitches a little every so often, and loose stitches or stitches that got pulled somehow. But I've been wearing it. I know I'm wearing another cowl, but I've been wearing it so that like one one part is tight, and then the other part is long. This is inside out. And it looks so cute, and it matches my hair, and it's like, it's so perfect. And of course, just like when you block lots of things, it got really soft. And I don't remember what yarn this was. If you recognize it, tell me. It came in the, like, this kind of shape. I really can't remember what kind of yarn it was. I don't think it was Cascade. I don't remember. But yeah, look at this, you guys. I love it. You guys, it's been sitting in my projects, in my, like, whatever projects for 6 years. I finished it in February. I have it documented on my blog. It's so beautiful. I love it. I'm so happy. It definitely gets wrinkled easily, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can pull it back out. But yeah, it's so nice. And like, what a fun stitch pattern. So I have one little extra bit about this for you. So I was like, man, I love this. Maybe I want to knit it again. And then I was like, on here, or in the table of contents, it calls this Seeds and Stripes. The pattern designer on Ravelry calls it Striped Cowl. And so I was like, well, let's see what it's called in the magazine. So I flipped through like this, you know, and then I didn't see it. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I flipped through, and then I didn't see it. So I went to table of contents and I looked. Where is it? Okay, it's on page 83. Oh. What do you know? What do you know, guys? Why? Why did I do that? Why? Like, I know I bought this magazine only for this scarf, and this cowl. I don't know. I call it. It looks like a scarf to me because I made it really long. I know that I bought this Creative Knitting 2014 only for this scarf, and I'm sure I never thought I would knit anything in here. I'm actually really curious. While I was while I was flipping through, I was like, some of this looks actually pretty good. Maybe I do want to knit some of this stuff. Oh, that's pretty. Depending on sizing, I don't know what the sizes look like, but I tore it out. It's not in any of my loose patterns that I have. Like, I have like a cube down here, like dedicated to just patterns and pattern books, and it's not in there. So it could be in the cubby hole. Like under our stairs, we have like one of those like big, what I imagined Harry Potter lived in, cubby holes. In the actual movie, the cupboard under the stairs was way smaller. Like our stairs, you know, go this way, and then the cubby hole it goes under the stairs, but then it continues underneath there, like underneath the landing, like our split level landing. And so it's pretty big in there, and it's relatively clean, because I'm good at organizing that kind of stuff, and also a clean cubby does not invite bugs and other things. So it might be in there, because that is where I used to keep all my knitting patterns. But like, God, and you can't buy it. I found the pattern again, like I said, on Ravelry, but it doesn't have, it just said it's a knitting creative, so it hasn't been released separately as far as I've seen. But yeah, so that is a success. Finished object. I'm so happy, so happy. I love it. So like I said, life has been like really busy, and so that big training that I was developing and working on and presenting and revamping and presenting again and then revamping again and then you know, a week before it goes live, there's a major update to the system, and that like completely redesigns several of the steps. Like, so that training finally went live, and it was good. It's not like a one-time deal. I have to do it, you know, I don't know, once a month, something like that. I'm not presenting it again in March, and then even before all this COVID stuff, my next presentation of it was going to be online anyway for the system campuses. So the University of Minnesota has 5 different campuses, and they're located all around the state of Minnesota. And I work at the like hub, although you're not supposed to call it that. Like, it's not supposed to be the hub. Like, they're all supposed to be equal. The Twin Cities campus was first, and it's the biggest, and it's the most like renowned or well-known or whatever. And that's the one I work at. And so the next time I put on trainings, we wanted to only have system campuses attend, but with COVID, I assume that will open up for other people, and so I will need to teach it online, which, I mean, it should be fine. The only big problem with online learning with this specific tool is that if something goes wrong for someone, I can't help them without stopping the whole training and having them like share their screen or whatever. So we'll see. Anyway, so that took up a lot of my time, brain space, energy. I really wasn't into doing anything for a while. Like, my brain was just so tired. I was working really long hours. I was staying, you know, work until, you know, super late, and having to come home and go right to bed anyway. But most of that is good. And now I can, now I can get back to doing the things that I love. So I do have a few WIPs, works in progress, so let's talk about them. The first WIP that I have on my needles is Duyan. It's a shawl by Julia Parlette-Cariño, also known as Colleen on Knits. I have wanted to get started on this for so long. I wanted to start on this before she even started test knitting for the pink peppercorn shawl. I wanted, like, it is such a gorgeous pattern, and the yarn, the person that she paired up with for the yarn kit, one yarn kit, like, set. Oh, you guys, it's so good. So the Duyan shawl is a shawl that starts in the center, and then you work your way out. Oh god, it's looking so good already. Oh no, I want to work on it right now. Yeah, this came out last year. Oh, it looks so good in this yarn too. The yarn that I'm using for this is Dear Dreams Yarn Co. And the colorways are Jennlyn and Lumpia. And Dear Dreams is 75% wool, 15% nylon, and 10% cashmere. So they are a nice, decadent, beautiful yarns. The pattern is, I think it's both written and charted. I think at the very beginning of the chart, you know, some people just write charts differently than each other, and so a lot of times what I do is I will look at the chart. If I don't get it right away, I will go look at the written instructions just to like make sure that my understanding of the chart is correct, and so I like compare the two, and then depending on how I feel about the chart versus the written, I usually will like maybe start with the written, like maybe like that first row or the first part of the first row, and then I will transition to the charted instructions. Like sometimes it's just not always clear to me, like when do you do the repeat, where do you start the repeat, is there any stitches that are not within the chart that you just are assumed to have to do, like for example these 4 stitches that are the garter border are not, I don't believe are included, and or they're just written differently than I expect. I can't remember. It's really easy, but it's just like you have to like clarify and make sure that you know what you're doing here. My right side stitch marker is of course my stitch marker from Whitney Andersen. Love it. And my stitch markers, just to denote the center stitch. Not that I can't figure it out myself, like I know where the center spine is, but you know, when you're knitting, you're if you don't pay attention, you're just gonna go right over it. So I do like to keep, same thing here, right? Like I know where the beginning 4 stitches are. I actually don't have a stitch marker on the last 4, but it's just like a good physical reminder to actually go back, or to actually stop and change what you're doing. But yeah, this is Duyan. Oh my god, this is gonna be so good. I cannot wait until it's done. I'm knitting this on my Chow Goose. This is a size 5. I can't remember if it is what the pattern calls for. I typically will use the needle called for a shawl. I'm a loose knitter, so my stuff ends up often bigger, like my gauge is often bigger than other people's. But with shawls, like unless I'm going to maybe run out of yarn, I don't really care about my needle size in comparison. Like if it's a little bit bigger, oh well, it's a little bigger. But with like sweaters and stuff, I usually size down 1 or 2 needles. But again, I guess I would rather err on the side of being a little too big than a little too small. But I also haven't knit a lot of sweaters, and also I do like things to fit a little bit more loosely, and because I have such a weird body shape, it being a little like just a little baggier is fine. If it's a lot baggier, then it can be a problem. I was thinking about, so I got the latest issue of Pom Pom. I don't know where it is right now. I think it might be on the other side of the easy chair. And that article by Jacqueline Cieslak and size inclusivity was like, it's not, the concept and like the situation is not new to me. Like I'm very well aware of size inclusivity in patterns and the lack thereof in many patterns. But she, in her Instagram and a little bit in the article, you know, she talks a lot about how most patterns will measure your full bust measurement and not your upper bust measurement, and that is why if you have a larger chest, that it ends up being massive on the rest of you. And I think that that is what happened with my Lunar Rising sweater. I measured it to my full bust, not my upper bust. So I really wonder if I had knit it to my upper bust, which is like maybe 2 inches smaller around than my full bust, if that would make the sweater have fit better. So I'm gonna try that for the next sweater that I knit. Actually, the next sweater that I knit is going to be a Jacqueline Cieslak sweater, and it includes bust darts, and so I'm gonna try that, and I'm actually really excited to see how that looks. Anyway, point is, who knows anything? Oh, and my shawl is in my Finish What You Started Human from Spirited Away. It's a giant like sweater size bag, but I love it, so I put my shawl in it. I don't think that this needle goes with this, but oh well. As you can see by the red cable, I love Chow Gu and I want nothing else. Another work in progress that I have that I don't even remember when I started, sometime in the fall when I was like not really feeling anything. Like because of how stressed I've been lately, I just like have I go through periods of like losing interest in doing things. My brain is too tired. I just don't want to. But I finally got the yarn for my Blufftop hat. So the Blufftop hat is a pattern by Jennifer Rundhaug, and it says, winter is cold in my area of the driftless region, especially when you're at the top of the bluffs looking out over the river. This textured slushy hat is the perfect accessory to shield you from the chilly wind and snow. And I actually really wanted the hat in the exact colors in the picture, so it's a kit with KnitCircus yarns. It's Ringmaster 100% superwash merino wool, 185 yards, 100 grams, in the colorway Leaf Pile Leap. So I got the brim done, and now I am on the pattern, and you just do the same pattern repeat until you get to however tall you want it to be, and then you start the decreases, and then you make the palm. So it's not going to be a very difficult hat. I think it's going to fit. I am not great at hats. Like, I don't know why I'm terrible at sizing hats. Even if I try to swatch, I am just weird with hats. So we'll see how this goes. But this is a hat for me, and I'm excited to knit it. I wear my other hat that I made by Hunter Hammerson. That actually, see, I ended up making that too long because I followed her directions about the crown, but my head is not a long head. It's a like short round head. But that's fine because I like folded brims anyway. But I feel like I just don't know how to measure hats. It's weird. That is in my Emperor's New Groove bag with Cuzco's Poison on it. Both of these bags, this bag and the Spirited Away bag, are both by FatesThread. I do really enjoy these bags. They are they're lined, and the fabric is really vibrant, and drawstrings are nice. Yeah, love it. My next work in progress, technically, I think, qualifies for Meh March. If you don't know what Meh March is, it's a hashtag and or just a general movement of like, hey, what projects have been languishing, get on them. Other people I've seen, like Kalisha Nidiratani, I've seen her, like, she didn't want to finish this pair of socks, so she's slogging through them for Meh March. That's not me. The project that I think I'm doing that qualifies for Meh March is not one that I got bored of or I didn't want to do. I just got distracted with other things, and I'm just so excited about other things. I really should have just kept doing it. It is in my Zelda bag that I got from the Wisconsin Craft Market, which is now closing. The project that I have in here is the Cityscape tank by Lisa Ross. Doesn't really look like much right now, but I am just finishing up the straps on the back, and okay, one, it doesn't say so you do, it's a bottom up tank, and you start with a ribbing, and then you do a ribbing with decreases of both sides for like, I think your total amount, maybe you decrease, I can't remember, but it's a twisted rib, and it goes all the way up, and so it'll give like a nice shaping. I'll put a picture of what it like looks like completed. It was done in like a like thicker, less airy yarn, but that's okay. I don't know if you guys have this problem or maybe it's the yarn, but my make one lefts all leave like these giant holes. And I don't think that that is purposeful in the pattern. Like my make one rights are so much nicer, but my make one lefts leave, they're so stretched, like when I pick up the yarn, there's just such a gap. So I don't know. Even when I tried to pull it tighter, I felt like it didn't really do that much. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, if I'm just gonna leave that or what. It kind of looks sloppy now. Maybe it'll block out or something. But yeah, the pattern doesn't say to cut the yarn, it just says join the yarn, and I didn't want to cut it, so that's why I have this strip in between, because you do the left side and then you do the right side. And I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I think I'm supposed to go to the front and start working on the front. So this is the front. Now, can you see it? Maybe if I separate it. I assume where I joined a ball on both sides, I felt like I had a line. Oh, it's here. So it doesn't seem to be where I joined a ball. I can't find a loose yarn, but maybe I'm wrong. But on both sides, I feel like there is a strip, almost like if you get a thread pulled in a shirt and it gets that like wrinkly, like tight quality. Let's see if it's worse on the back. Yeah, here it is. Oh, I just don't know if you can see it very well in the camera. Yeah, right here. Can you see it? Right here. I don't know what happened there. Like, I looked at it like 100 times. Like, did I accidentally twist those stitches, or like what happened? I can't find a loose yarn as if that is where I joined the yarn, but it's clearly different from the rest of the rest, and I don't know what it is, and I hope it blocks out. It's gonna be like this weird line otherwise, so I don't really know what's going on there. But otherwise, like, this is a super easy pattern. This is the first time I've done something bottom up for a shirt. Now, again, I did mention that I knit more loosely than the average person. This is a DK Berroco Folio, 65% alpaca, 35% rayon. It's so soft. I love it. All of this is Folio. Folio is great. I am knitting this on size 6 Chow Goose, 4 millimeters. So I started knitting this like a year ago, and a year ago I was like 20, 25, maybe even 30 pounds lighter than I am now. I have, over the last, like starting maybe last June or something, I've just been having a lot of hormonal issues, and stuff like that, and so I have gained weight, and I am working with several medical professionals on figuring all of this out, and so I am just following medical advice, and I am just working on, you know, eating healthy and getting movement and exercise and whatnot. So anyway, the point is I started knitting it at a size that I'm not sure will fit me now, but also I knit loosely, and I don't think I swatched it all for this. So we'll see if it's too small, too big, or just right. So I have no idea. I haven't tried it on, because like I was already far enough where it's like, it's gonna be what it is for now, and if it doesn't fit, I can give it to someone else. It's not a big deal. It's fun to knit. It's very easy. So I do hope it does fit, but we will see. It's supposed to be pretty fitted anyway. The problem is that like I have like a pretty decent hourglass shape, even if I'm kind of lumpy in all of my areas. So like even now where like I feel like you can't really see my waist as much, there's still at any given time, like now where I'm heavier, there's a 5-inch difference between my waist and my bust and hips, and when I'm thinner, it's like an 8-inch difference. Like I have a very I have a shape. And so because of that, if something is slightly too tight in the hips, it will ride up, and I just get a fun little like fun little bunchy around my waist at the top of my hips. So it's kind of hard actually to wear things that are supposed to be shaped because of that, because then they want to just ride up. That is also why I like to buy my shirts in men's, because the straight cut actually fits me better because it's wider all throughout and doesn't pull. Yeah. All right, so the last whip I have is my temperature blanket. It is March, in fact, and so let's see my progress. Wait. But what is happening? It's March. Why do you only have 5 squares, Leah? Oh, about that. So, haven't made progress on this since January. As you can see, I only have 5 days still. I think I've showed this like 3 different times. I've talked about why I haven't made any progress on it before. I'm not doing it. I'm not abandoning it. I'm not, because I really want a temperature blanket. But I really still need to just have the time to figure out how I'm going to track the temperatures so I can actually knit it. The squares themselves only take a few minutes. Getting them sewn in, it takes a few minutes more, but I haven't made any progress, but it's not abandoned. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm so sorry to disappoint, but it will happen. So as I said, the next thing I'm going to start, I'm really into starting things. Like I want to be working on like 8 different projects. I haven't knit socks in months. Like actually knit socks in months. It's so weird. I got to get started on some socks. But yeah, the next thing I'm going to start, or that I'm in the process of starting, and I was going to start the other day, is Water Bearer by Jacqueline Cieslak. So I went through all of the work that she gives at the beginning to like really figure out specific measurements, figure out what size I need to pick for bust darts, and it's just an amazingly gorgeous pattern. Like I cannot wait to knit it. Like it seems really fun and a bit of a challenge, but in a really good way. So I ordered some yarn for it. I ordered this yarn. It's gonna be so good. This yarn is from Knitpicks, and it is a DK yarn. It's called Alpaca Blend. It's their Upcycle Reserve. So these, I believe, are all like single batch or whatever. Like they're just made out of remnants of previous yarns, I believe. So this is 50% upcycle alpaca, 30% upcycle mulberry silk, and 20% upcycle tencel. Each skein, I believe, was $10 for 240 yards. So I needed 5 skeins for my version. So this is pretty good for a sweater. I mean, that has 30% silk, and like it reminds me of when I did that knit crate. I can't remember what it's called, but it's where they took silk remnants out of like India work factory things, and then they made yarn out of it. and it has that same texture to me where it's like silky, but it definitely has other things in it. I don't know how to describe it. It just has a very specific feel, but it is really soft. It's so pretty. Like, this color is insane. So yeah, they have another color. I'm not gonna tell you which one because I don't want you to buy it. That is also very, very good, and not really a color that I think I would normally get. There was one color that was already sold out when I got there, and it was amazing. So I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on that. I think it's a new for them to do this, or maybe it was new at the time, as in like they finally added more. But I would highly recommend checking out the upcycled yarns from Knitpicks. And so yeah, that's Water Bearer by Jacqueline Cieslak, and so excited. That is it for all of the things that I'm working on and all of the things that I've finished. Like I said, because of things have been really crazy, I haven't really had as much knitting time as I would like, or when I have some time, I'm just like too distracted or too tired or whatever. As I said, I have been working really hard on like maintaining my health and doing stuff to support my health. But I have also been acquiring yarns. So it's been a while. Again, like, I don't ever remember when I order a lot of this stuff in terms of like, I know I didn't order all of this at the same time. It's like you order something, and then if it's a die to order, or if it's part of like a pre-order, it takes a while. So then I end up actually getting a lot of yarns around the same time. Like, it just like kind of works out that way. So the first yarn I wanted to show you is Monica's Apartment. So this is supposed to be the purple of her walls, the yellow of the picture frame on her door, and then I'm really not sure what these other colors are. I don't know if she just like, or if they just threw in like the yellows and some blues and stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of blue in my skein, and I'm not really sure what that's from. I might have to go back and see if like there's more blue in her apartment than I know of, because I was a little surprised that it had so much. But I mean, these two at least are just so perfect. I don't know what I want to do with them yet because it's so much yarn. I don't know if I want to make socks out of it, but I have it with my sock yarn anyway, just because it has the mini skein. But we'll see what I want to do with it. But I am happy to have Monica's Apartment. It is in their Scrummy sock base, 80/20 super wash merino and nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams. I participated in a 3-month sock club for High Fiber Arts. I don't remember if I showed this last time. Sorry if I did. But the first month was a Bulbasaur yarn. It was really rich and gorgeous. The second month in February was Mr. Mime. And it is so vivid and so good. It's everyday sock, 80% superwash, 20% nylon, superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams, and 80 yards, 20 grams. So I should be getting the March sock club any day now. I definitely think I'm gonna sign up for the next 3 months as well, because you can never have enough Pokemon socks. I'm sorry, you just can't. Which also means I should really get to starting on some socks. Okay, if you have never checked out Mitchell's Creations, you really need to. You need to pause my video, but come back, but pause it. Go to Mitchell's Creations and buy her yarns. I'm so serious on this. I ordered 2 skeins of her Drunken Unicorns. It is in her Lagniappe sock. It's a fingering weight yarn, obviously. 75% superwash, 20 merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards. Are you freaking ready? You guys, look at this. Oh my god, it is so good. The black is a very, very rich black, and these colors are, like, this is pretty good, but it's still not completely capturing the vibrance of these yarns. Ah, oh, they're so good, you guys. I also have, this is a skein from Mitchell's Creations as well. I believe I showed it before. Just all of her yarns are just too perfect. It's like, I don't know what I want to do with this, but I'm so glad I bought two. Oh my god. Like, can you imagine this in like a linen stitch shawl or something? Or like any shawl at all. I went to Haynes House Yarns Etsy shop, I think Etsy website, and I noticed that they had Avatar: The Last Airbender colorways. If you know me, which some of you maybe do, but most of you probably don't, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I have a tattoo on my side that's like this big, like all up my side, of Tui and La, the two koi catfish that are like yin yang colors from the last 2 episodes of the first season. Avatar is so good. If you have not seen that show, you need to go see it. Like, it started on Nickelodeon and has some kid humor, but as the show goes through the seasons, or the books, is what they call them, it gets more mature. They deal with a lot of like adult concepts and like life lessons, and just, it's just so deep and so good, and just such a special place in my heart. so good. So I noticed that she had colorways, so obviously I had to buy them. And at the time, she only had 3 of the colors, and her takes are, I think, unique on the Avatar colors. But I got the Earth Nation, Fire Nation, and Air Nation. All of these yarns are 100% superwash, 437 yards on her 5 deep rustic base. So it's a single ply yarn. And when I bought these yarns, I believe, or maybe right after I bought them, I sent her a message and I was like, hey, no pressure, but I would really like to complete the set, and I didn't see an option for custom orders. I'm so bad at seeing people's custom orders in their shops on Etsy. Like, I do not understand how shops are structured on Etsy these days. But anyway, she responded back and said, hey, you know, I do custom orders sometimes, and this is one of them that you can custom order or dyed order or whatever. And so of course I needed the Water Nation. I am such a Water Nation. And I got, and then I said, you know, don't ship them until you have all 4. You don't need to do extra shipping, whatever. So I got the 4th one. Also gorgeous, also amazing. Love, love, love. In talking about it with my cousin Morgan, it came about that, you know what? The only way to do these 4 colors justice is to design something myself, probably, which is probably going to be a shawl. So last weekend, Steve and I were out and about, and we decided to stop at Half Price Books. And Half Price Books does have a like craft section if you haven't been there, and I'm not really interested in buying random books so much, especially older ones. Like, I just feel like we are really making progress and coming around on various approaches and ways to do knitting, and I really like giving my money to smaller designers and people of color, especially because their patterns are just as good or better. And like, I love Ravelry, but their like algorithms or the way they do the hot right now or the trending is very flawed, and so you miss so many good patterns. Anyway, hop off my soapbox for a minute. Anyway, so I was looking through various books, and I found a book that I think might meet my needs. This is the Big Book of Knitting Stitch Patterns. I got it for about $13. Probably, maybe overpaid, but like, whatever. And so I've been going through, I'm only on page 40, but I've been going through, and I have been looking at the various stitch patterns. It's been a little difficult because these seem like they're knit in like, they remind me of like Red Heart, so it's like thicker yarn, so I don't know what it'll look like in a single ply so much. Like, obviously I need to do some testing and some swatching and whatever, but I am looking for stitch patterns that fit the feel, the tone, the architecture, the culture of each of the 4 nations. And there's a decent amount of information about each of the nations out there, as if they were real cities and real places. And so I'm really enjoying the process of just brainstorming, going through, coming up with just being really creative with my ideas. In my head, I like the concept of like, Goldfish Memory has tons of different sections, right? I can't imagine that, at least if I were to do a shawl, I can't imagine that, you know, how many yards is this? 415? Oh, there are different amounts. Most of them are 415, but the yellow is 437 for some reason. So yeah, 4, 8, 12, 16, yeah, like a sweater's quantity basically, of yarn. I don't think that I will use all of that in a shawl, so like maybe I'll use some of it in a shawl and some of it in like a stripy sweater or something. See, I don't know. I'm still really thinking about it. But either way, want to incorporate these designs. So hype. I've never done anything like this before. I have no idea how it's gonna go, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, my amazing coveted Avatar yarns. Also, while we were out and about, I just found one more in my little pile, the last thing in my pile, for yarns. We were in the Egan area. So we went to my nephew's birthday party last weekend. My nephew Caden turned 10 in February, and my nephew Clyde turned 3 this week. And so my sister likes to plan their birthday party in between, like they celebrate together, but yeah, in between their birthdays. And they had it at a trampoline park this year, and I've never been to a trampoline park. I really assumed that I would jump for like 5 minutes and then get bored and just hang around or whatever. And when I went in, I was like, definitely that's what's gonna happen. Like, it didn't really look like that much. Like, it's like if I were to tell you about it, it sounds like a lot, but when you look at it, it doesn't really seem very impressive. It's like there was like one set of trampolines that you could jump on that had trampolines on the floor, and then like trampolines that were angled, and then there was like an identical set but only for small kids, like 6 and under, and then they had a dodgeball section that was being like you had to have your group sign up to go, like you couldn't just go in and play dodgeball. And then they had like in the center a like half broken kind of looking ninja warrior course, and by like half broken I mean literally like there was 2 sides, but they weren't really very clearly separated, and one side was closed, even though again they weren't separated when you were in there. So like people would go in there and then get stuck because it is a trap, and also literally impossible. And then staff would yell at people for going on the wrong side. And then there was like a section that had like a what's that called? Like, not a tightrope, slack line. The thing that's really popular, that was really popular with like beach guys or whatever. But yeah, like the little flat, like tightrope-y line thing. And that was on one side, and then the second side had like a Jacob's ladder, like one of those like really unstable ladders. And then the third thing was a, like, what was that like show called, where you had two people and you had the foam things at the end, and then you had to hit people off of the thing. I had one of those. And then in the corner, it had a, like, one of those blow up, like, racing obstacle course things. And then at, like, the very front, like, where you, like, checked in, it had another blow up thing that had 3 vertical ramps, and they were different heights. And so you try to run up the ramps, and then when you got to the top, you could slide down. So see, it sounds like a lot. It does. But it does not look like a lot, and it doesn't really, like, I guess what I mean is, like, it doesn't seem like it supports a lot of people. But yeah, so we got in, and immediately was a lot of fun. I had so much freaking fun. It was so tiring, and I was so sweaty. Like, when I was a kid, we used to jump on trampolines all the time. My grandpa had a trampoline, and one of my friends had a trampoline, and so we were always on trampolines. Oh, and my grandma had a trampoline. Yeah, we were always on trampolines. So it's like funny to be an adult and like get really tired and sweaty in like 5 seconds. But we did a ton of jumping. We almost died in the foam pit thing. Like, we could not get out. Like, I seriously at one point was like, I guess I'll just live here. Like, I guess this is where I die. Could not get out. And the big problem is it's really tiring. It's like, at one point Steve was like, is this what quicksand feels like? But like, your socks were like, they give you socks when you come in. So they open them out of plastic. They have the stickies on the bottom, and then you put them on. And so the stickies were sticking to the foam blocks, and so then my socks kept getting tangled, and I was gonna lose them, and it was rough. And the obstacle course is impossible. Like, it starts with these monkey bars that are very stiff, and if you've ever tried doing monkey bars as an adult, I don't know about you, but I can't do monkey bars anymore as an adult. And even like my brother, who's very athletic, could not keep up. And then after you were done with the monkey bars, you were supposed to jump off of the monkey bars onto a rope. And no, you're supposed to jump off of the monkey bars, and then they had one of those poles going but it was perpendicular, so it was like straight, like monkey bars like this, and then it was like that. And so you're supposed to somehow jump and grab onto the bar, and then shimmy over, and then jump onto like a set of 3 ropes with a few knots, but they were not evenly spaced at all. And he was like, he tried to ignore the pole, I think, and then try to jump on the ropes, and like, so he probably gave himself rope burn. But yeah, and then so you couldn't climb the ropes because the knots were all weird. And then the next section, I can't even remember what's supposed to be between the ropes. Like, there's a huge gap. I don't remember what was there. And then they had those, like, you know, you can hang a swing and sit and, off a tree, and like it has a little round disc and you can sit. Those you couldn't even climb onto. This is for kids, you guys. This is a kids' place. And we as adults couldn't even get on them because they were too tall. It was just crazy. And then it ends with rings, and the rings were really high, like really high. Like, I honestly don't know if I could reach them from where I was at. And again, I mean, I'm short, but I'm still an adult-sized human. Nightmare. The blow-up obstacle course was really fun, but it was like packed with kids, so like racing was hard because you didn't want to mow down people. But we actually ended up having a lot of fun, me and my brother and my brother's girlfriend, on the vertical ramps. Like, we tried so hard to get to the tallest one. We each were able to grab it at least once, but like, we're not strong enough to pull ourselves all the way up. Yeah, so fun. It was a really good time. I had a lot of fun with my siblings and my cousin Haley and her boyfriend, and yeah, it was great. I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, so after that, even though we were tired, even though our bodies hurt, even though we were broken, we were in Egan, so we decided to check out, that's when we checked out Half Price Books and a GameStop, and then we also went to, there's a shop down there called Unwind. That is where I got the Wonderland yarn for my Sunspotter shawl that I did for Lisa Ross. And they have just like they have a selection of Wonderland yarns that I just don't see anywhere else, and so it was really cool. So I ended up getting a skein of Wonderland. You can see sort of where my mood is at these days. It is a Cheshire Cat. It's a fingering weight, 512 yards. This is the same amount of yarn that is in the blue of my Sunspotter. And it is called Between the Lines. So all of that to tell you that we went to Unwind and I got this yarn. A couple other things really quick. I wanted to show you this bag that I got that is so cool of retro game stuff. Oh my god, Super Nintendo floppy disk. I'm not sure. Shooter gun. Regular Nintendo NES. The joystick. It's got hearts and that's about it. This is by Otterly Adorable Knits. It's a limited edition, so I really wanted to get it and I love it. It's great. I also got this adorable stitch marker from Last Serena Tejera's shop. This cute little avocado. She makes all of these herself. They're so cute. I'm just looking to see if I got anything else. I don't think so. Yeah, nothing else new, or it's on projects. Oh well. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, we've been really busy, as you have heard, and how I told that way too long story about about last weekend. Other things that we did notably were we helped my grandma move into a much better place than where she was living. It's like beautiful, and it's like just like a couple blocks from downtown suburb, like a small, very small, like one of those, like the downtown or the main street is like just one street and everybody can walk anywhere or whatever. It's not like super busy, and it's I think pretty cool. And the apartment is really nice, and it was like everything was remodeled right before she moved in, like literally finished like the week before she moved in. And our old cat Trini is so happy there. She loves it, and the dog is like trying to get used to the idea of not being on the second floor. Like, she's a very routine oriented dog, and so my grandma said that she's been so confused about no elevator and that she can just like go outside on the patio, and she gets really confused about the screen door because she doesn't really see it, so she walks into it. She's like really small, but it's great, and my grandma's slowly getting unpacked, she I think as she gets everything like settled, that she'll be much happier than she was at the old place, which was really chaotic and right in the city and just like not good vibes. This other apartment has great vibes. And what else? Just really quick, due to all of the COVID stuff, us who work at the university in IT are working super hard to get faculty online and giving them support, especially faculty who've never taught online before or have no idea how to use any of the online stuff like Canvas or Zoom, and like I'm on the front lines for that. So it's been super busy and really chaotic, and we're getting new updates all the time, And yeah, so I mean, I know everyone's kind of going through similar situations right now, and so we are just keeping on, trying to be safe and doing what we can, and like I'm doing my part in making sure the documentation looks really nice to help people. And I have no idea what next week is going to look like, because when state of emergency was declared, then all of the plans we had for face-to-face walk-ins for staff or for faculty got canceled, and so no idea what I'm doing next week. I'm just, I just told Academic Tech Tools that I'm going to be available to help teach whatever I can. So playing it day by day, and we'll see. I hope you guys are also staying safe and taking all the precautions you can, and stay calm, don't hoard, and do what you can. We'll all get through this, hopefully. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for everybody. I feel like we're all inundated with information, so I don't really need to probably say a lot on it. But just know, thinking about you, and thank you for watching and subscribing. And we are going to go have lunch with Steve's parents, and then I'm going to pick up my grandma from a painting class, and then we're just going to stay home because that's what you should be doing. So have a good few weeks, and I will see you soon. Bye.